For generations, millions have read the words, "Thy faith has made thee whole," as a passive declaration, leaving believers waiting for a distant miracle that never seems to arrive. But when Jesus spoke to the suffering, he did not speak in abstract Greek concepts or modern English translations. He spoke in dynamic Aramaic, where every single syllable carried immediate, creative authority. What if the word translated as faith was never meant to be a passive emotion, but an active command of divine alignment? Today, you will discover the lost Aramaic word that reshapes how healing actually operates within your life. For centuries, believers have turned to the Scriptures seeking relief from physical suffering, emotional exhaustion, and deep spiritual pain. We read the classical accounts of miraculous restoration and wonder why that same divine breakthrough often feels so distant in our everyday struggles. We try to manufacture more belief, trying to convince ourselves that if we simply hold on tighter, relief will come. Yet this endless striving creates an invisible barrier within our spirit. When we read the famous declaration in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 9, where Jesus speaks to the woman who touched his garment, Western translations tell us that her passive belief saved her. This framing places the burden of healing on human effort, making you question if your belief is strong enough. The true conflict lies within the veil of language itself. When the original ancient accounts were translated into Greek and subsequently into modern languages, something profound was lost. The Greek and English translators veiled the original power of the miracle, turning a potent, active decree into a passive intellectual concept. By reducing a dynamic reality to a simple mental agreement, the translation veiled the practical authority that Jesus was demonstrating. You were left looking outward, waiting for external permission, rather than recognizing the creative force that was meant to be activated within your own spirit. Only the original Aramaic word can unveil this lost authority and restore the true depth of the Master's voice. When we strip away centuries of commentary and return to the tongue that Jesus actually spoke, the passive idea of faith dissolves entirely. In its place stands an active decree of total restoration. This original understanding shifts your perspective from begging for a miracle to embodying the divine wholeness that has already been spoken over your life. Staying tuned through this journey will lead you directly into the active protocol that unlocks this truth. Before we unveil the exact linguistic key hidden within the ancient text, take a deep breath and prepare your mind. Shortly, we will step through a short practice prayer together, aligning your heart directly with the spoken authority of Jesus. To understand why this ancient decree holds such power, we must look at how Jesus spoke during his earthly ministry. When Jesus performed his healings, he spoke in Aramaic, because words in this ancient Semitic language were not merely symbolic labels. Every word carried intention, energy, and physical vibration, meaning that the pronunciation itself held direct spiritual power. In Aramaic, to speak a word was to bring its dynamic reality into physical existence. When Jesus addressed the sick and broken, he was not offering theological commentary. He was transmitting a living frequency of divine order into their physical and spiritual bodies. This brings us to the sacred term recorded in the original Eastern scriptures. Asya, this powerful Aramaic word, does not mean a passive mental belief, nor does it refer to waiting helplessly for divine intervention. Asya carries the root meaning of active restoration, fundamental wholeness, and the powerful command to align with divine health right now. When Jesus uttered this command, he was calling forth the inherent life force placed within humanity by the Creator. He was commanding the individual to rise into their original blueprint of strength, clarity, and total vitality. Understanding Asya changes everything about how you approach your daily trials and physical exhaustion. It transforms prayer from a desperate plea into an act of divine agreement with the authority of Jesus. If today's revelation has stirred something in your heart, don't let your journey end here. Our Aramaic Wisdom Guide was created to help you rediscover the original wisdom behind the words of Jesus. True knowledge sets us free. You'll find the link waiting for you in the comments, or simply scan the QR code on your screen to access it instantly.
And the best is yet to come. In the next chapters, you'll discover what could change everything for you. Divine Creator, I enter into your holy presence today, speaking the ancient command of Asya, declaring that your restoration is actively moving through my mind, body, and spirit right now. I release all passive waiting and step boldly into the living authority of Jesus, embodying the complete wholeness, deepen a health and alignment that has already been granted to me. Amen.
To begin your daily protocol, speak the word A-S-Y 3 times every morning upon waking, placing your right hand over your heart to ground its physical vibration. Practice this dedicated ritual daily over the next 21 days while maintaining a conscious mindset shift of gratitude for your immediate restoration. This sacred practice directly echoes the moment recorded in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 9, when the suffering woman reached out to touch the hem of his garment. She did not approach with hesitation or doubt. Her entire action was an embodiment of Asya in real time. When Jesus turned to her, he was not bestowing a reward for mental effort, but confirming the active alignment that had already taken place within her. By stepping out in action, she had engaged the original command of healing. In modern life, we often wait for circumstances to change before we allow our hearts to feel whole, completely misinterpreting how divine law functions. The woman in the scriptures possessed no external proof that her suffering was ending before she reached out her hand. She did not demand a sign before stepping into the crowded street, nor did she wait for permission from the religious leaders who had cast her aside. Instead, her inner spirit was already aligned with the ultimate truth of restoration long before her fingers brushed the cloth. By speaking Asya each morning, you are recreating this exact spiritual posture in your modern life. You stop waiting for your physical eyes to confirm your miracle, and you start commanding your inner world to reflect the divine authority of Jesus. As we examine this encounter deeper, we see that the woman's physical condition had isolated her from society for 12 long years. She had exhausted all human remedies and spent everything she owned, only to find her suffering growing worse with each passing season. Yet the moment she encountered the living presence of Jesus, the ancient dynamic of Asya dissolved years of trauma in a single instant. Her story proves that time and circumstance have no power over divine restoration when true authority is activated. Remember to maintain your morning protocol of speaking Asya with hand over heart as introduced in your daily practice. Returning to this practice daily keeps your heart tethered to the same authority that transformed her life on that dusty road. The crowd surrounding Jesus was massive, pressing in from every side. Yet only one person truly touched him with active alignment. Many were nearby, but only she engaged the profound frequency of Asya. Think of how many times you have found yourself surrounded by noise, busyness, and constant distractions, feeling as though true peace was completely out of reach. The crowd represents the chaotic noise of the world, full of opinions, worries, and endless fears that try to consume your mental focus. Many people walk near spiritual truths every single day, reading words and reciting traditional prayers without ever truly connecting to the creative source. They brush against the garment of divine possibilities, yet they walk away entirely unchanged because their inner posture remains passive and doubtful. This long-standing woman separated herself from the passive crowd by shifting her internal state from a desperate observer to an active participant. When you commit to your daily protocol, you step away from the crowd of anxious thoughts and anchor your spirit in divine authority. Perhaps you're wondering why these original teachings remained hidden for so long. That's why we created the Aramaic Wisdom Guide, because true knowledge sets us free. The link is waiting for you in the comments, or you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. When Jesus felt the touch upon his garment, he stopped the entire crowd and asked who had touched him. The disciples were confused, pointing out that hundreds of people were pressing against him in the crowded street. Yet Jesus recognized the distinct spiritual vibration of Asya, an intentional, active draw of divine restoration rather than a passive bump from the crowd. The crowd was merely observing, but the woman was actively participating in the living power of God. This distinction is vital for your own daily practice as you speak A-S-Y each morning. It is the difference between simply going through the motions of faith and actively reaching out with authority to claim your divine wholeness. When you practice your 21-day protocol, you step out of the crowd of passive onlookers and align yourself directly with the divine order. The power that flowed through Jesus on that day is the exact same authority available to you right now. Notice how Jesus did not become angry or depleted when virtue left his body during that miraculous moment in the crowded street. True divine authority is an endless reservoir that never runs dry, ready to respond to anyone who aligns with its frequency. When you declare Asya over your life, you are not asking God to create a new source of health or peace from scratch. You are simply connecting your present situation to the eternal abundance that has always been fully present around you. The disciples saw only the physical commotion, unable to discern the spiritual event that had just occurred in their presence. They measured the situation through human logic, seeing only bodies pushing against bodies, without realizing a miracle had just taken place. In your own daily journey, people around you may not understand the quiet transformation happening within your spirit as you speak these ancient words. They will see the same external routine, but you will be operating from an entirely different dimension of peace and divine authority. The woman, trembling with fear, came forward and fell at the feet of Jesus, revealing the entire truth of her journey. She expected scolding or rejection, as the traditional laws of the time considered her condition unclean and unworthy of public presence. Instead of condemnation, Jesus looked upon her with divine compassion and validated the transformation that had taken place. He confirmed that her active alignment with Asya had restored her completely, commanding her to go in peace and be free from her suffering. By using this original Aramaic understanding, Jesus shattered the religious barriers of his time, showing that divine restoration is immediately accessible to anyone who steps forward in active authority. Her story stands as a timeless blueprint for your own life. As you continue your daily prayer and hand-over-heart protocol, remember that you are walking in this exact same promise. You are no longer bound by past limitations, physical exhaustion, or spiritual isolation, because the divine command of Asya operates within your life today. Consider the absolute freedom that comes when you realize that your past struggles hold zero legal right over your spiritual future. For 12 years, this woman carried a heavy label assigned to her by human society and physical symptoms. Yet in a single moment of active alignment, Jesus erased every single label of limitation, calling her into immediate wholeness and spiritual freedom. The ancient word Asya breaks the cycles of generational fear, continuous anxiety, and spiritual exhaustion that have tried to define your life for far too long. When you wake up tomorrow morning and place your hand over your heart, remember that you are stepping out of your past identity. You are no longer defined by your wounds, your financial worries, or your emotional wounds, but by the living decree spoken by Jesus. Stand firm in your daily practice, knowing that the exact same authority that healed her body is actively reorganizing your life right now. Walk forward with quiet confidence, completely unshakable in the knowledge that your active decree has made you whole. As you step forward from this revelation, the most crucial element of your transformation is your commitment to remaining consistent with the protocol already given to you. The true enemy of your spiritual breakthrough is not a lack of divine power, but the subtle temptation to abandon your daily rhythm before the harvest manifests in your physical reality. Many people begin their journey with immense enthusiasm, speaking Asya with deep reverence for a day or two, only to allow modern distractions, busy schedules, or lingering doubts to interrupt their sacred practice. When immediate results do not appear on your exact human timeline, your mind may whisper that nothing is changing, urging you to stop putting your hand over your heart every morning. But true spiritual authority operates like a seed planted in fertile ground. Even when nothing seems visible above the surface, the ancient word Asya is actively restructuring your internal world and breaking old patterns of limitation. Do not fall into the trap of skipping days or waiting until you feel perfectly faithful to resume your declaration. Remember that the woman in the gospel story endured 12 long years of exhaustion before her singular moment of divine alignment. Your daily prayer is your anchor, keeping your mind firmly tethered to the eternal authority of Jesus, regardless of what your physical senses report. Remain faithful to the simple 21-day rhythm you have received, allowing the vibration of restoration to saturate your thoughts, your emotions, and your daily actions. As you walk out this journey day by day, remember that the power of divine wholeness is already at work within you, growing stronger each time you declare your true identity in Him. Before you go, if this message touched your heart or brought new understanding into your life, write the word Asya in the comments below. Your testimony may encourage someone else who needs to hear this today. And remember, the Aramaic Wisdom Guide is always waiting for you, so you can keep rediscovering the original words of Jesus. You'll find it in the comments or by scanning the QR code on your screen. If this revelation blessed you, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear it too. Your support helps this ancient wisdom reach more hearts. Thank you for sharing this moment of ancient wisdom with us. Until the next revelation, walk in peace, walk in freedom, and walk in the power of Asya. Open.